Peace. Good morning, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency. Man, it's kind of look like the Jay-Z album, right? The Black Album. All right. Anyway, um, good morning to you. Peace. Good morning. It is September the 9th. Um, Friday. We made it to another week. We made it through another week. You know, there may be somebody out there who's had a hard week. And let me take my mouth away from the mic. But today is Friday. You made it to another week, through another week. Peace. Good morning, Miss Anderson. You made it through another week. So let's celebrate that. You know, it's always good to celebrate something because it can change the energy. And that's what we're talking about today. Change the atmosphere. So good morning. Like always, we want to start in gratitude. Thank you for being here. We are on this side of the dirt. That means we are able to have life and continue life and to be open and to be honest and to be constructive. Peace. Good morning, Ms. Latour. Um, and that's what we're doing today. Again, like always, you will always start in gratitude and we will always start in thanks because you don't have to be here. You can be anywhere right now. It's so early in the morning that you can still be asleep. Peace. Good morning, Mr. Bowens. So definitely can't be on long. I got an event to go to. Hood howdy for those who is on Fort Hood, who ever been on Fort Hood and all this other good stuff. So I gotta, uh, yeah. All right. So let's jump into it today. Again, for those who are on in the YouTube space, thank you for watching. Those who listen to the podcast platforms, thank you for being here. Whether you're on either listening to it on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Facebook Podcasts, wherever you're getting this from. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate it 1,000,000%. So, today, well, let's go back where we were this week. So we talked about yesterday. What were we talking about? Man, how did I forget? Let me go back real quick. All right, yesterday we were talking about it was all a dream, and if you didn't listen to it was all a dream yesterday, make sure you go up. For those that's listening to it live, you're able to go up to the content, click that link, and listen to what we talked about yesterday about it was all a dream. Uh, and it was all a dream was actually working out the tools that you have, because the day before that we were talking about utilizing your utilities or identifying your utilities and how do you use those utilities to actually manifest the dream. So that's what we did the past few days. This week was pretty good. Again, yesterday it was all a dream. Before that, identify your utilities. Before that, it was be uncommon. And before that, as long as there is breath in your body, you have the ability to continue and you have the ability to manifest and continue to manifest life. Right. So if you want to go back, you can go back and touch all those key points and listen to what we was talking about this week. All right. So let's jump into it. To go into the atmosphere, right? The atmosphere, that's a real place. That's a real space. But what you do in that space is completely up to you. Again, what you do in that space of the atmosphere is completely up to you. It is your choice to stay there. It is your choice to go. It is your choice to acknowledge it. It is your choice to do all of that. So before we jump into it, 2 feet deep, what I want you to do is put inside the chat atmosphere. Atmosphere, ATMOSPHERE, atmosphere. Put into the chat atmosphere and go ahead and take this live and share it in your on your timeline or in the Facebook group, because today is going to be interesting. Just looking up the word atmosphere and pulling and extracting out what we're going to be talking about today. It was an aha moment for me because, I mean, of course, not everybody look up definitions of things. I mean, I do. I like, as much as I don't spell properly, I will look up a definition of some things. That's just me being transparent. Whatever. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Atmosphere. So for those that may be new to the platform, I'll say it all the time because we get people that show up and this is the first time here and they come out, oh, what are you talking about? You know what? I'm going to help you out. Let me put this Let me change the let me put the caption on there. Just so when people come in, they're able to understand what we're talking about instead of saying, okay, what are we talking about today? Bam, right there. Change the atmosphere. All right, here we go. Changing the atmosphere. Definition of atmosphere, it says the envelope of gases surrounding the earth or another planet. Now, I want you to remember this because this is going to play into creating the setting and understanding how we look at things and understanding how we can evolve things just by understanding the envelope of gases surrounding the earth or another planet. So what we're going to do as we continue to go on, the surrounding the earth is you, or another planet could be another person. So again, the envelope of gases surrounding the earth or another planet. Now, this is the scientific term or the astronomy term, looking at earth as what it is, the atmosphere, the gases that surround the earth or another planet. All right. So another definition of atmosphere, it says a pleasurable and interesting or exciting mood. So the focus that we're going to look at today with this definition is red over white. So again, when I say red over white, I want you to focus on the word that is the words that are in red. So that's the contrast. So looking at the atmosphere is a pleasurable mood, right? We like to hunt the good stuff, chase the good stuff, because those are the things that can actually create what we want of having a good space, right? So a pleasurable mood is the atmosphere. It's like going to a restaurant and you go inside and everything feels good, right? Everything looks good. The food was good. The conversation was good. The waiter was good. All of that stuff that plays into the atmosphere, that plays into that pleasurable mood. It keeps you there. You might want to order dessert now because you felt so good and everything was right. Everything felt pleasurable for you. So now you understand the mood that you're in because everything that surrounds you was great. So now the second definition, this is where it begins to become interesting. The definition of atmosphere, another definition of atmosphere is the pervading tone or mood of a place, situation, or work of art. This is where we now begin to get into the meat and be able to look at things from a different perspective because it says the pervading tone or mood of a place, situation, or work of art. Because we understand that not everything is going to be what? Pleasurable. This is just a atmosphere. This is a pleasurable mood. And this is saying the pervading tone or mood of a place, situation, or work of art. That means it's not always going to be good. It's not always going to be pleasurable. It's not always going to feel like it is within your favor. The place is not always going to uh, uh, put you in a place of perfect peace. But what do you do in that moment? What do you do in the pervading tone? So now let's extract the word pervading out of the definition of atmosphere because it's going to allow you to see things from a place or a point of clarity. Because now let's go ahead and extract that. There's a reason why the word pervading was with that. There's a reason why the word pervading is in the definition of atmosphere. So let's go ahead and touch into that. So pervade, spread throughout and be perceived in every part of. Spread through, not throughout, spread through and be perceived in every part of. So now let's go back to the first definition. I want to show you something. The envelope of gas surrounding the planet or another planet. The envelope of gas. The envelope of gas could be an attitude, right? The envelope of gas could be because so now let me backtrack just a little bit. So the atmosphere of the earth, and you still have the sun. So what happens with the sun? The sun is still going to be as hot as ever, but the rays and the heat that goes and it hits and it gets captured into the atmosphere. It gets captured by the atmosphere, and we still get the warmth. So there is a protective covering that happens within the atmosphere that still allows you to feel a certain way. So the envelope of gases that surround you as the earth, or the envelope of gas that surrounds you as you, is how you feel. It is your emotions, because you can change the atmosphere in a room just by acknowledging, like, you know what? I want to change how I feel. I want to change the atmosphere because I know when I feel a certain way, I I can act up, right? When I feel a certain way, that is it's not going to be pleasurable for anybody else in the room. It's not going to be pleasurable uh, to continue to have this conversation. So those gases are your emotions. Those gases are how you feel. Those gases could be the protective, because I want to. At the end of the day, I still want to like you because I know we're friends, or I know that we're still business partners. But I have to understand that if I'm going to change the tone in the room, I must understand that I must manage the expectations of the gases. I must manage my mouth. I must manage what I do when I'm in that space. So the atmosphere can be changed by you by understanding the envelope of your gases. So again, it says the pervading tone or mood of a place, situation, or work of art. Pervade is the spread through and be perceived in every part. So your attitude can be perceived in every part of where you go, because that's their perception. That's your perception of the room. It's how it is carried within every part of the conversation. But until you recognize that the atmosphere of what you say carries in how you say it, right? In every tone, in how you say it, in how it's understood, in the parts of how you carry yourself. So now let's go into the other definition of pervade. So this is where it really get interesting, because it said of an influence, feeling, or quality. What type of quality have you presented in the rooms that you've been in? What type of influence have you had in the rooms that you've been in? What type of feelings do you carry when you walk into the room? What type of feelings do people have when you walk out of the room? Because it says of influence, feeling, or quality be present and apparent throughout. So where are you at in your atmosphere? Are you willing to change the atmosphere? Are you willing to change yourself? Because remember, it's that envelope of gases. It's that thing that comes out of your mouth. It's 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 that pervading spirit. It's that thing that engulfs everything that is within the room. It's the influence in the room. It's the tone that's in the room. It's like, well, let's take this quick deep dive, right? Let's stick in the atmosphere. Let's stay in the atmosphere right now. The person who creates the excuse, and the person who a person who makes excuses, and the person who no longer make excuses for what's going on, both of them are right. Both of them. Both of them are correct because that's how they feel. That's their influence. That's their experience. But the thing those two individuals have in common is both of them have the opportunity to change the atmosphere. Both of them have the opportunity to change the atmosphere. Both of them has the opportunity to change the outcome by acknowledging that the atmosphere needs to change. The atmosphere of the individual can actually change the lineage that happens as the generations continue, just by changing the atmosphere, just by acknowledging that the atmosphere needs to be changed. So therefore, through the changing of the atmosphere, you are able to communicate differently because you know what feelings that you want to influence the future generation. Just by changing the atmosphere, just by changing how you even talk to yourself, right? Have you ever been in a room with you and you talking to you about you, and then you get to the point where you be like, you know what, man, I got this. And you start hyping yourself up. You start shrugging your shoulders. You start beating on your chest. You start clapping your hands. You may start crying because you know that the atmosphere that you've been in there too long, and there's something more that's inside of you. And you begin to pull you begin to change the atmosphere because you begin to pervade, to influence yourself. Because you know that you knew the atmosphere needed to change. You knew there was something about what was going on that needed to change. So therefore, you did something different. Because you set the tone. Let's go into where we're going. And what do I mean with that? Go into where we're going. Because a lot of times we may say we're going somewhere, but we never go. We never go, so therefore we never get there. And because we never get there, nothing happens because we never took that first step. Changing of the atmosphere takes it. There is a first step in changing it. Whether it is you acknowledging, whether it's you understanding that the attitude that you took into the room totally changed the atmosphere of the room. So now you have to influence yourself to change it in order for something in the room to change. It might be you. And it might be the process of your thought, the process of your thinking, because remember, it says the envelope of gases. So the envelope of gases could be your perception. You ever been somewhere, you hear somebody say, they gassing me up? That's your perception. Your envelope of thought is your perception, is those thoughts that you have inside of your head. Those envelope of gases could be the emotions that you carry, the way that you feel about something. So change the atmosphere. You change the atmosphere, you can change the generation between you and your child. You change the atmosphere, you can change what happens between a man and a woman. You can change what happens between where you are and where you're going. Just by acknowledging that the atmosphere exists. Just by acknowledging that if I'm ever going to do something, it starts with how I do it now. If you understand the atmosphere, change the atmosphere inside the chat, because that is a process. Changing of the atmosphere is a process. It's just like problem solving. The very first step in problem solving is to identify that there is a problem. The very first step in changing the atmosphere is acknowledging the atmosphere exists, acknowledging that the influence in the room exists. So therefore, in order to change the atmosphere, you must see it for what it is, something about it, and look at it from a personal perspective. Like, what is my responsibility in this atmosphere? How do I change it? How did it even evolve to where it is right now? And remember, pervading is a of an influence, feeling, or quality. Are you, what are your quality thoughts? Where are you at? Are you having quality thoughts? Because the thoughts that you have will be present throughout the day until you understand that if I'm going to change the rest of my day, I must change how I see my day right now. I must change my day right now. It's only 7 a.m. You don't have to carry how you don't have to carry how you feel, or you don't have to carry what you're carrying right now all the way to 7 p.m. Acknowledge how you feel. Look at where it came from. Where does it derive from? And then you become pervading for yourself. You influence yourself. You understand how you feel and how you can change how you feel. Change the atmosphere. All right. So that's enough. So understand the atmosphere. Understand what it is. Understand your responsibility in it. Again, when I speak, I'm not just speaking to speak outward. I'm even speaking inward to me. Because we all have a responsibility in our atmospheres. We all have a responsibility with how we feel. We all have a responsibility with the energy that we push out. We all have a responsibility with the frequency in the room. We all have a responsibility of what we say. We all have a responsibility of what we don't say. All of that is still dealing with atmosphere. All of that is still giving with the sender and the receiver. All of that is still atmosphere. All right, that's enough. All right. Hey, we made it to a Friday. Whatever happened throughout the week, acknowledge that it did happen, but it doesn't have to carry over into the weekend, because you can change the atmosphere. All right. Man, y'all be blessed. And remember, here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. If you ever want to go back and listen to the old stuff, click the link up top. You have all rights and every opportunity. Because right now we're on episode 199. So we'll be on episode 200 on Monday. Y'all be blessed. Peace.